Good evening, everyone. I'm sure that you can see my screen. So you're welcome to the premium class. You're welcome to the Python class. If you can hear me, can you put it in the chat box that you can hear me? Can you put it in the chat box that you can hear me? Okay. Can I have more reactions that you can hear me? All right, perfect. So, and I believe that you can see my screen as well. All right, that's good. So, like I started with, so we are going to talk about, just like I said, we have 8 weeks. So don't forget that Python is a wide course. So we are only treating introduction to Python for data analysis. So we are going to have, that's what we are starting today. So we are going to have introduction to Python for data analysis. And some of the things we are going to discuss today, which is week 1, is how to set up Python in Anaconda. I'm going to be using the Jupyter notebook. And we are just going to be looking at some Python syntax, variables, data types, loops, and also installing and importing libraries. Then we will write some Python scripts to perform some arithmetic operation and the likes. So for week 2, so we'll work on pandas. There's no how you want to deal with data analysis that you will not work with pandas. So how to load a CSV into pandas data frame for data manipulation and the likes. Then week 3, working with pandas. So for 2 weeks, we are going to be treating pandas. So for the week 3, we are going to be discussing how to clean data with pandas, how to transform the technique. And for week 4, that will be introduction to NumPy. So we are going to be talking about the NumPy libraries, NumPy arrays, and the likes. And week 5 will be more of data visualization with matplots. Week 6 will be data visualization with Seaborn. And week 7, we'll talk about working with dates, that is filtering data with dates and the likes. And for week 8, it's going to be an introduction, because EDA is very long. So it's going to be more or less like an introduction to exploratory data analysis, because exploratory data analysis in itself is a big course on its own. So now I believe that most of you have installed Python on your system. So now if you have not, you can go to Google and just go to Google, just type Anaconda. And just click on this. You don't need, you can sign in and not sign in. You don't need, it's not compulsory, and you can skip the registration. So let me say skip, then you download it here. I already have the download, so I will not waste our time, and I've already installed it on the system. So after you have finished installing it, you will see the Anaconda in this format. You will see the Anaconda in this format, and you can see different platforms in which you can run Python. You'll see the different platforms in which you can run Python. So here, like I said, I'm going to be making use of Jupyter Notebook. So let me launch the Jupyter Notebook. So when you click on the Jupyter Notebook, it's going to launch it in one of your browsers. So while we are waiting for it to come up, let me use it to explain other platforms in which you can run Python. You can run Python on Spider, Oracle, all these platforms that are here. You can run it on Google Colab. You can run it on Google Colab. You can run it on Spider. You can run it on VS Code as well. So now, when you get to this platform, if you are using the Jupyter Notebook, so on my right hand here, you will see new. So just click on new and click on the Jupyter Notebook. So that will take you to the Jupyter Notebook. It will take you to the Jupyter Notebook. Now, you need to know something, that even if you don't have any knowledge about Python, Python is case sensitive. Python is case sensitive. What do I mean by case sensitive? That is, where you are supposed to use capital letter, don't use small letter. And where you are supposed to use small letter, don't use capital letter. So Python is case sensitive. Now I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Now let's just try to code something in Python, and let's start with an example. So now what is here is, what is here is a cell, and I click on this plus to move to another cell. Now you can see that here I use it to write a comment to say that Python is case sensitive. So the hash is used for comments. If you are going to be a good coder, a good Python coder, if you want to code very well in Python, you need to be able to comment your code properly. You must be able to comment your code properly, and that is what makes you a good programmer. You must be able to comment your code properly. So if we have, like, for example, if I say name equals to John, and there's something that you need to understand in Python, the different types of the data types in Python. We have the string. Now, this is an example of a string. So string is like alphabet, is like words. So this is an example of a string. Now, if I want to print this, out, so I would say print name. Now, what happened here is that I have assigned the name John to name. So print name. All I need to do is to run it here. So now you can see that it's giving me error. Why is it giving me error? Because I said Python is case sensitive. My kernel here, the only thing it will accept is if I change my print to a small letter. Now you can see here, when I change the print to a small letter, it gave me the name. So this is a string. Now, if I say age equals to 25, now this is an integer. And if I want to print it out, I would say print age. So let me print age out. As you can see, it's giving me that age that is there. Then again, if I have height to be equals to 5.9, so in Python, we don't call it decimal, we call it floats. Don't call it decimal, we call it floats. So this is the float in Python. You need to understand all these things very well, how Python works. So print height. Just like the word print, that is what it's doing. Now, the reason why it gave me error, look at it, said the name height is not defined, was because I have not run this cell. So let me run the cell first and run this again. Now it's going to give me the answer there. So that's another thing for you to learn, that you have to run that cell first, because Python is like it's computer as well. Garbage in, garbage out is what you put in, that is what it will put out. That's Python. Garbage in is computer generally. Every computer does that. Computer is garbage in, garbage out. Now I'm just starting. This is not it's just an introduction. So, but you need to understand how some of these data types works, because it is very, very important. It is very, very important. Now, for example, if I want to print name and age, and let me say I want to print it like this, print on different lines. So I will introduce an F, and I will introduce a, when it is string, that's when you introduce an inverted comma up there. So I will introduce these curly brackets, print name. And so to move to another page is ln, this /n. Then I want to print name and age on different page, and I want to write the code at the same time. So I put it like this, and I'll end it. When I run this now, it's going to show it on different lines. So it's different from print. If I say print name from our age, they are both different. You can see this one is horizontal and this one is on different lines. So this next line makes it to be the next line. Now, so I've told you the different data types that we have in Python. Then there is another one that I've not told you about, which is Boolean. So is the person a student equals to true. So this is Boolean. This is Boolean. For those of you that are used to most programming language, every programming language has its own data type as well. So Python is not an exception. So let me run this now, and I can say print is students. So it's going to come out true like that. Now, in Python, there's something that you need to understand as well. There's what we call collection, and we have 4 different kinds of collection. We have lists, we have tuple, we have dictionary, and we have sets. So these are the 4 different kinds of collections in Python. So let me give you an example of a list. Now, look at what I used here. This is unacceptable. If I leave a space here, it's unacceptable because Python is case sensitive. Let me try it now and say list equals to, you will see that it's going to give me an error. 1, 2, 3. Now let me run this code. You will see that it's going to give me an error. What is this saying? Invalid syntax. So you must not leave a space because Python is case sensitive. So you have to write it together, my lists. And or if you want it your code to be neat, you can put underscore and print my lists. So let's say print my list now. And it's going to print it out. So it's going to print that list. Now, what's an example of tuple? So my tuple equals to 1, 2, 3. So print to move to another page on the same cell, you can just press enter. So print my tuple. Now you can see we have it here. Now, so how does a dictionary look like? My dictionary, but I don't want to write it in full. So let me just say my dict equals to, now dictionary is different. So you have to use this. You have to use this curly brackets and use a quotation as well, name, and use a column and say Alice, comma, so that's a dictionary. So what's the age of Alice? Again, you have a inverted comma, age. You need to understand how this list collection works in Python. Now, if you notice in this place, for Alice, there was an inverted comma here. And for age, it was integer. So for integers, it does not require any inverted comma. And that's why I started with this at first. See the difference? Because this is a string, so it requires an inverted comma, but because this is an integer, you can just write it directly. And so the knowledge up here is what you will apply down. That is why I didn't start with dictionary. I started with understanding variables, understanding data types. This name is a variable. I can change it to names. If I change this to names and I want to print here, and I want to say, now, the reason why it's bringing it out is because before the kernel, if I restart the kernel, I can restart the kernel here. It's not going to bring it out because I have not named any variable names. There was no variable that was named as name. So here, let me say print my dictionary. If you notice that most of the things I'm doing, I'm copying and pasting. That is what one of the good thing you have to learn how to do in Python. You'll have to know how to copy and paste so that you will not be making mistakes. A good coders always know how to copy and paste. So let's look at the for my sets now. For sets, my sets. Now, all these are variables. I can decide not to use my sets and say and not use any underscore. So it's not compulsory. It's just a variable name. I can call it any name, just like you bear a name as well. So I can call it any name, but the name that I used to call it will be the name I will use it to print it as well. So 1, 2, 3. So this is how a list looks like. You can see that both are different. So print. So as you can see, that is what a set looks like. Now, other things that you need to know, because all these ones are very, very important. You need to know is loop. There's something that we call loop in Python. So what loop does is it iterates. For people that have a computer science background, you have a background on another programming language, you understand what loop does. For example, if I want to print the first 10 numbers, so in Python, we have just two loops. We have the for loop and the while loop. So for the for loop, if I want to the first 10 numbers, so if I want to print out the first 10 numbers, all I need to do is to say for I in range 10. What this means is that I'm saying I is my variable. So I equals to my variable. I is my variable. So for I in range 10. So what it means is that Python will not start from 1. Python will start from 0. So my loop will be from 0 to 9. Python will not start from 1. It will start from 0, because Python believes that numbers start from 0 and is not starting from 1. So all I need to do is print I. So if I want to print I now there's a syntax error here, and look at this place. It's already telling me that there is a syntax error. He said he's expecting this. That is, he's expecting a dash here. So for I in that range, is expecting a semicolon, that there's a syntax error. Can you hear me? Can you all hear me? If you can hear me, let me have a reaction. Okay, yeah, all right, sorry. So now he's expecting this. So it has to be in front, and that is why he's giving error. So let me run the code now. Now, he's saying indentation. I deliberately did that. So now for Python, it has to be indented. And what we mean by indentation is it is not going to print, because I have to put this print on the same line with my I. I have to put this print on the same line with my I. Without that, it's not going to print. So as you can see now, it has printed. It has printed it for me. So I deliberately made those errors so that you can see the difference between Python and other codes. So if you are used to other programming language, there's a difference between Python and some of those other programming language. Now for the while loop, is different. So you can say that count equals to 0. You are initializing your counts. This is initializing the counts. So you are initializing your counts. So you can change it to 1 here. if you want it to start from 1, if you want your while loop to start from 1, you can change it to 1 here. So while count, now this count is a variable. I can call it any other name, but it is one of the good practice of programming is for you to name your variable what your stakeholders or what you yourself you will be able to understand. So it's a very good what's it called? It's a very good thing to do. I can call it any other name. I can call it count 1, I can call it count 2. It's not, and I can call it any other name. I can say variable, that while variable equals to this. So I can call it any name. But it's always a good practice to always put your variable name in which anybody that picks your code can easily understand based on your variable name. So I have to indent it as well by using the tab to invent, to do it. So you can look at up here, I use I can also use for count. And what I will do here is print counts. So print, so I will say print count here. And I can use just a normal name. Let me say it for 10. And now, how do I want it to be increasing? How do I want the numbers to be increasing? So I would say count plus equals to 1. So if I want it to be increasing by 1, it will be increasing by 1. So let me run the code now. Now, there is an error here again. Where is the error? Just like the semicolon here is expecting, that's why Python will always give you, one of the good things about Python is when there is an error, it will tell you where the error is lying. So you can see it started from 1 because I said, well, it should start from 1. But if I didn't say, if I change this to 0, let me change this to 0 now. And I said that it should be increasing by 2. This is where problem solving comes in. If I say print even numbers from 1 to 100, so all you need to do is to say count equals to 0. So while count is less than 100, but 100 will be too much. So let me say 20. You know that I need to start from 0 because it will be increasing by 2. And that is what will give us even numbers. But 0 is not part of even numbers. So let me change this back to 2. And I say, because it's going to start from that place. And let me run it. So you can see you have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Now, if I want it to include 20, all I need to put here is to put equal to, less than or equal to, less than or equal to 20, less than or equal to 20, then it's going to include 20. So if you scroll down, you will see that it's including 20 for me. Can we all see it? It's including 20 for me. So now, you need to know all of these things because this is how the variable works, how the loops work and stuff like that. Now, for next week, you need to install this on your Python because that is what we are going to be. We are going fully into data analysis in Python next week. And you need to install some of these libraries, which is very, very important. So pip, you need to press this on your system, pip install pandas. So because I have it on my system already, it's not going to load anything. But for some of you that you have not installed pandas on your system, it's going to, yes. Some of you, it's going to run and it's going to tell you that the requirement is just satisfied. So until you see this, that is when you know that you can use pandas on your system. So pip install pandas, because next week and upper week, majorly what we are going to be doing is pandas. That is what we are going to be doing. So let's say we want to create a data frame. I know that it's already 7:30, but I just want to show you what pandas is used for. Pandas is used for manipulation of data in, let's say that we want to create a data frame. Pandas is used for manipulation of data in data analysis. So if you are going to know, if you want to really learn data analysis, then you have to know how to use pandas. Now, data equals to, let's assume, I gave you list, I gave us list, dictionary the other time. So let's assume we have a combination of these collections together. So we have this. We have name equals to Alice and Bob. Then age so 25, 30. Now, for Python, you have to close every bracket. If you don't close all the brackets, as many brackets that is open, it has to be closed, just like in every coding as well. Every bracket that is open has to be closed. Now, this is the data now. Let me run this. This is, for example, if this is my data, so there is no error. If I want to put this in a data frame, all I need to do is to say import now pandas as PD. This PD is a variable name. I can decide that I don't want to use the variable, but for good practice, so that I can decide I don't want to use the alias PD at all. So in Python, this is an alias, just like in SQL. For those of you that you still want to do SQL on Sunday, in pandas, this is also an alias. So when you use the word as, you can, the reason for alias is so that you will not be writing pandas does this. So for example now, so let me say my data frame df equals to pd dot data frame. So it's going to take that data into data frame for me. My variable, which is data, is going to take it to data frame for me. Now let me run this. So print df now, you will see that this data will be in a data frame for me. Can you see? This is what a data frame looks like. It has convert the data into a data frame for me. I could as well say that pandas dot data frame I deliberately did that. So he's saying pandas is not defined, because I have already said import pandas as what? As PD. So if I should say alone import pandas, and I did not say import pandas as PD. So let me run it now. You can see. So this is just an alias that instead of putting everything together. So it's not compulsory, but for good practice, most of the time we use this. Most of the time we say import pandas as PD. I just explained that so that you know that it's not compulsory for you to use that. It's not compulsory for you to import pandas as PD. Now, what did I do there? For those of you that are watching me, when I said it's case sensitive, so what it means there is, if I change this F into small letter, you can see it said that pandas does not have an attribute of F. So it has to be capital letter before it can run. So that is what I mean by a data being case sensitive. I think I've taught more than um, I've taught more than 30 minutes, and some of you might have questions. So I will go to, how did you change the name? Okay, let me go to the first questions that are here. Do you have anybody that have raised any questions before? Okay, my laptop couldn't take the Anaconda application, so I downloaded the Python app. It's good. You can download the Python app. It's going to run. And you can also use VS Code. VS Code will run. Is Python like SQL? No, Python is different from SQL. SQL is different totally. What do we mean by cell? All these are cell in Python. They are cell. We refer to them as cell. So you can run a selected cell. So Jupyter refer to it as cell. How do we know Python's terminology to be used for specific action? This one, most of the questions here, like, is by practice. It doesn't just come. Like I said now, when I say increase by 2, so it is you that you have that loop in your mind that, okay, because it's even numbers, then I have to use a while loop and increase it by 2. How do we know when to use capital letter or small letters? So that is why I will give you, I will send Python documentation on variables, on libraries. I'll send it to the WhatsApp group. You have to go and study them very, very well. So they have their own reserved words, just like every other language as well. They have their own reserved words. They have their own libraries. So it's because me, I'm used to those things that I use often. So I know the ones that should be capital letter, and I know the ones that should be small letters. So what's the meaning of F? Now, the meaning of F there is that is a function that helps the ln, that is moving to another line. F is a function in Python that helps that ln to work. Without that F, it's not going to work. Does Python accept camel case for naming of variables? I don't understand. The person that asked that question, I don't understand. What then is the difference between list and tuple? There is difference between list and tuple, because when you look at it, except maybe you did not see it clearly before. This is list. Look at the bracket of list. Is a square bracket, and for tuple is just the normal bracket. For list is a square bracket. For tuple is just the normal brackets. So when you see a square bracket, you know that it is list. And when you see the normal bracket, you know that it is tuple. Can we write several blocks of code in a? Yes, you can write several blocks of code in a cell. But for good coding practice, is so that people can be able to read your code properly, it's always good that you write those code little by little. Is list the same as tuple? I just explained that. So list, tuple, and set are the same. They are not the same. The brackets are different. Look at the bracket. This is a square bracket. This is the normal bracket. And for set is a coily bracket. Look at it. It's a coily bracket. So if you check your keyboard, you will see there is a curly bracket. And for a list, for a dictionary, you will see that the difference, even though it's using a curly bracket, a dictionary defines something. So for example, I said name is Alice and age is 30. So there are differences between both. I need you to let us know the programming language and when to use each. I'm not sure I understand that question. Maybe that person should ask again because we are talking about Python. So Python is a programming language and that's what we are only teaching. How do we get that application you are using, sir? I have already, when I started, that means that probably this person came in late. I said, go to Google. This is Google. And type Anaconda download. And just go here. When you go here, you don't need to register. And if you might decide to register, just skip. So when you click on skip registration, you will just download it. And Anaconda works on, it works on MacBook as well. Anaconda works on MacBook and it's working properly. Okay, somebody has answered. Please send guide on how to download and install. There is no guide. When you download it, just click on install. It will install itself. Please, which app is this? Is Anaconda. That for those of us that were on the WhatsApp group, I have already sent it since that go and download Anaconda. And when you download Anaconda, open it. But for it to work properly on your system has to be 8 gig because your system will be getting slow if it's not like that. Please help recap today's class. I will do that. I will recap today's class. Kindly give us sync to download Python. I don't want sync to download. I don't understand that. Why did it appear bold when it did not use pandas? I did not use PD. Yes, it's because I didn't use PD. How do we know pandas terminology to be used for a specific action? Like I said, we are just starting. So it is how you grow in it. That's how you will know what to use. That's how you will know which Python to use. I mean, which code to use. So I can't just say this is what you will use for the first class. So you have to get used to it. You have to get used to how all those things happen. So how do we know when to use capital or small letters? I have answered that the other time. Okay, that's a combination. That's our class captain combining all the questions together. I think I've answered. How did you change the name and age to bold? Yeah, it's because of the pandas that were used. How do we use different brackets? Okay, how do we use different brackets? Now, for pandas we always put, when you want to have a list, you know that this is how a list will look like. I just gave you that. Most of the time, because we deal with data analysis, is majorly lists and dictionaries. We don't usually use tuple and sets. So that is why I gave the syntax. Okay, so when they say create a list of something, if I give you an assignment now that create a list of so and so, you know that this is the bracket you are going to use because that is how a list is formed in Python. Yeah, please just take it slow, sir, for those with non-programming background. And that's why I'm taking it slow. I believe that I'm taking it slow. That was how I started with, when you click on it, that was how I started with the English aspect. Python is just like English. Name equals to John. And I said print. At least everybody understand what print is. I want to print something. Print name. And I said age equals to 25. So print what? Print age. I'm not sure that well, maybe people can judge. I don't think I'm too fast, but I will recap. I will give 5 minutes to recap everything that I've said. How will I download the Python app? I've said that, how you can download that. So I've answered that. I will not go back to that. I've said just go to Google, download Anaconda and open Jupyter. How do we know which bracket to use? As you are using curly bracket in some cases. No, I wasn't using curly bracket in some places. I said we have 4 different types. We have 4 different types. This is what I said. The only thing I felt I wrote that was complex today was this line, and somebody has asked, so that's a good one. I didn't say that we have 4 different types. I said we have, for collections, types of collections. These are types of collections in Python. We have lists, tuple, dictionary, and sets. So I said this is how a list is defined. This is how tuple is defined. This is how dictionary is defined, and this is how set is defined. How do we connect the Anaconda with VS Code? You can't connect Anaconda with VS Code. If you have downloaded Anaconda, open Anaconda and go to just open Jupyter. And if you want to use VS Code, just use VS Code separately. Although there is also VS Code inside Anaconda. So what do you do after launching Jupyter? So when you launch the Jupyter, just come here, go to new, and you will see Python there. Just go to new and click on it. So is the bracket that makes the difference between lists? Yes, is the brackets that makes the difference between lists, tuple, and sets. Good question. So what do you do after I click on new? I've said that. Can we have an ebook on this so that's to use to study after class? There is Python documentation online, so you don't need an ebook. Does Anaconda work for MacBook? Yes, it works, and it's working perfectly. In fact, all you need to do is to press the terminals. Please tell us we joined late. If you join late, I don't know why you joined late. You can watch the video later. Can you please give a summary after your response? Yes, I will give a summary. I've said that. You are not taking it slow. I'm lost completely. Okay, no problem. I will take it slowly. They are just text editors. Yes, we have different, like I said, let me recap what I've taught you today. I don't know why people are saying that. I think it's people that probably do not have a programming background. Now, to install pandas, you said yes, pip install, not panda. You are going to get error. Pip install pandas. Pip install pandas, not panda. You are going to get an error because there's nothing like pandas. There's nothing like panda. Pip install pandas. How do we update pip? I don't get that. I don't get that. I don't get the question. So I've said go to Google, download Anaconda, and when you download Anaconda, it will open it. When you open it, we have all these fields here. You can see that there is even R Studio. You have Python scripts. You have Spider. Some people use Spider. In my place of work, I have people that use Spider a lot. So you have Jupyter. But I said for this class, I'm majorly going to be using Jupyter. So you have Jupyter Lab. Jupyter Lab, take note, Jupyter Lab is different from Jupyter Notebook. I'm teaching with Jupyter Notebook. So when you click on launch the Jupyter Notebook, it will take you down here. It will take you down here. And when you get down here, go to new and open Python here. And when I started, I said Python is like English. So every of the reserved words in Python or libraries in Python, they are named according to their functions. So they said print. What does print does? Print is to output. So it's going to output those things for you. So, and I started with name equals to John. Now, I can change this, that I don't want the name to be equals to John again. I want the name to be equal to James. Now, you will see that it's going to change the variable name for me now, because it's not going to see name as John again. You can see, because I gave it the same name. So I said age equals to 25, and I said print the age for me. So now, in now combining, the reason why we come to collection is, okay, all what I've been doing here, I said float is just like decimal. It's decimal in numbers, but they don't call it decimal. We call it float. So if I now want to combine all these names together, that is what gave birth to collections that I came here, is what gave birth to collections. So I want to combine John and James together. So if it is going to be in a list, so that is why I will now say lists of names. Now, if you look at here, I used an underscore. If I should leave space there, Python is case sensitive. It is not going to work. It's not going to work. So if I'm using list to combine James and John together, so it's going to be with this square bracket. That is where types of collection came in, because I've been using just one. So you can say I said print here. So what I used here is a tuple. So if I want it to be in a list, all I need to do is, because these are string, I can't just say print. I can't just say James John, and I will not put so James John. Let this be another cell, because I want it to be neat. So list of name equal to James John Alice. Now print. Let me first of all read in this. Now, so that's correct. So print list of name. So you can see. So that is what brought about collections. So now it depends on what you want to print out. If you want it to be in form of a dictionary, that is where you use these curly brackets. If you want it to be in form of tuple, just these small brackets, that's how it will look like. So I just gave you these are the types of list, tuple, dictionary, the types of collections that we have, and sets as well. And when I came here, I said that we have two loops in Python. We have the for loop and we have the while loop. So the for loop, this is the syntax for the for loop. This is I is the variable. I is our variable. This is the comment, is our variable. Here, I can decide to use int. So int is equal to my variable. All I need to do here is to change print int, and I will, okay, let me change this to 20, and I will run it. So it doesn't mean anything. It's a variable. It can change. It's not a constant. So you need to understand, I think you need to understand something. Variables, for those of you that you don't have a programming background, you need to understand variables reserved words. There are documentations for this in Python. I will send it to the group after the class. The class reps can remind me. I will send the link. you don't need to cram it, but every day just be looking at it. What are the, you need to understand what are the reserved words, some libraries in Python. So you need to understand variables, reserved words, and libraries. Now, for example, pandas is a library that we just did now. Pandas is a library in Python. For print, print is a reserved words. What do I mean by reserved words? It has a, that is, it has a function in Python. Print is a reserved word. So there is no cramming. You don't need to cram it. All you need to do is go and be checking the documentations that I'm going to release. Before we close, let me look if we still have some other question. Should we assign the kernel for untitled? No, you can change the name. That's a very good question. So you can come here and say save notebook as. So you can change the name here. Let's change it to my first programming, my first Python tests. Save. So that will restart the kernel for you. So you can see that it has changed. In the installation process, it's asking me to pick either, yeah, pick just you. Since you are not, are you using it for a lot of users? So pick just you. Is there any reason why Anaconda Navigator isn't opening on my system? I don't know. I'm not sure I understand what that person means. I got out this message, pip install upgrade pip. How do I update it? You need to do the upgrade on your terminal. Yeah, if you are receiving requirements already satisfied, that means that your system is okay. Like if you look at here, if you look at this place, when I said pip install pandas, it's also telling me that requirement is already satisfied. So that means that it can work perfectly on my system. You said you will leave the recording for 48 hours on YouTube before you delete it. I didn't say I'm going to delete it. I said I'm going to release the video between 24 to 48 hours. I didn't say I'm going to delete it. I don't know where that person had that one. I didn't say I was going to delete it. I have never said I'm going to delete any of my YouTube videos. The only thing I said is that, except I will not post on YouTube. I didn't make it public. So, except you have the link, that is, except you have the link in itself, that is when it the link, the YouTube video in itself. But if you go and type it on Google, the link will not, you will not see the if you go to my YouTube channel, you will not even see it there. So except I send you that link, that is when you can watch it. I will drop it to the group between 24 to 48 hours. I pinned Anaconda to taskbar and it brought Python logo. I tried to exit and open again and it's not opening again. I'm not sure I understand that. Maybe restart your system. If you pin it to taskbar, this is what you should be seeing. If you pin it to taskbar, and if I pin, let me pin it here to taskbar. On pin to taskbar. Yes, okay. You are. If I pin it here as well, it's also showing Python for me. Pin to taskbar. So I think you have deliberately pressed Python. So because that was what I did here as well before. So you can unpin and pin back to taskbar, and that is going to work. Maybe I was too fast today, and maybe I shouldn't have gone to pandas, but I just wanted people that will, so that you not have issues with pandas next week, because we are going to start with pandas next week. And I explain how you can create a data frame. And it's not compulsory. I said it's not compulsory for you to use pandas, as PD. And the word PD was shortened as pandas. Like the word PD was shortened from the word pandas, P and the D in between, this N and A. So that is why we have PD. So you did drop yesterday class on YouTube. It's probably that I don't understand that, or maybe the person wanted to say you did not drop, except you are not on the WhatsApp group. I dropped it last night. I dropped the YouTube video last night on the WhatsApp group. So except you are not on the WhatsApp group, I dropped it last night on the WhatsApp group. Okay, so I think it's 8 o'clock already. So with that, we have come to the end of the class, and I will drop this video on my YouTube channel. So if you have not subscribed to this channel, ensure that you subscribe to watch the video. So thank you for joining the class, and bye for now. So if you want to go back and practice what I've taught you, you can watch it back on my YouTube video. Thank you very much. Bye for now.